What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. In this video, we're going to be talking about Trump's Board of Peace. Have you heard of it? What's it about, and what might be like the future prospects or agenda for this? We're going to talk about it here. So thank you very much for joining me. If you are new here, welcome to Clear Talk. If you'd like to check out more videos from the channel, please do so. Consider subscribing, like, share, comment, all that good stuff to get more videos in front of more people. If you'd like to check out videos from my other channels, JMDPLAY, Puzzling, if you like what you see, consider subscribing to those as well. That would be amazing. Patreon there, $3 a month. You help support any of the channels you like. Help grow those channels, help grow Patreon, help grow JMD Nation. And support in any way you would like to, contribute however you'd like to. Any contribution or support you give is very much appreciated, and I thank you very much. And if you're returning, you are freaking amazing. You're amazing! And welcome back, welcome back. Keep coming back because you are JMD Nation. Okay, so what is this Trump plan, this Trump Board of Peace? This is the board that's been organized in the under the scope of the second phase for a Gaza plan, but it has broader context. So we're going to go over this. I have here a thing from the Washington Post. Trump plans to charge $1 billion for permanent seat on the Board of Peace. President Donald Trump has sent a flurry of invitations this weekend to world leaders to join a new Board of Peace being marketed as an international peace-building organization. However, a permanent seat on the board will cost countries $1 billion. A U.S. official confirmed that figure would be the cost of permanent membership, but added that there was no requirement to contribute anything to join, while nations that do not pay the fee would have a 3-year membership. The U.S. official shared the details of the condition of anonymity to discuss internal matters. A draft of the charter for the proposed board was confirmed by the U.S. official, but not released publicly by the White House. A copy was posted online Sunday by the Times of Israel. The White House announced that much fanfare Friday, the board's creation was part of Trump's plan to revise the rebuilding of the devastated Gaza Strip. But the draft charter being circulated makes no direct mention of the region. That has given rise to speculation that Trump is aiming to build a U.S.-led alternative to the United Nations. Yeah, that's right. The charter went out with invitations to world leaders, including those of Argentina, Canada, Egypt, France, Hungary, India, Italy, Kazakhstan, and Turkey. King Abdullah II of Jordan was also invited, the Jordanian foreign minister said Sunday. The Kremlin said Monday that Russian President Vladimir Putin had received an invitation. Moscow is studying all the details of the proposal and hopes to contact Washington to clarify all the nuances. Egypt and Turkey acknowledged the invitation, but neither country has said whether it will join. A copy of the draft charter published by the Times of Israel appears to put forward a much broader mandate for the board when initially described by Trump in October, when he helped execute a ceasefire deal that marked the end of Israel's destructive 2-year war on Gaza. That's a lie. And the release of the remaining Israeli hostages. The following month, the United Nations Security Council agreed to Trump's plan to create a board that would oversee the rebuilding effort in Gaza. According to the draft, the body's mission is to promote stability, restore dependability and lawful governance, and secure enduring peace in areas affected by threat or threatened by conflict. The charter also asserts the need for a more nimble and effective international peace-building body and calls for a coalition of willing states committed to practical cooperation and effective action. European leaders have been consulting with one another about Trump's expansive ambitions for the board, and most are likely to sign on to it in its current form. One senior European official says, speaking on the conditions of anonymity, to discuss the sensitive subject, but the same leader But the same leaders don't want to spark yet another fight with Trump when they are confronting him on Greenland and need him to support Ukraine, which is suffering through a freezing winter and escalated Russian attacks. There's also little appetite to contribute large sums of money to a new organization that would be dominated by Trump's vision for a new world order, the European official said, even as Europeans remain committed to helping fund the reconstruction of Gaza. The U.S. official said that the funds would be used directly to accomplish the Board of Peace's mandate to rebuild all of Gaza. The board will ensure nearly all dollars will be used to execute that mandate and not be spent on administrative bloat that plagues many other international organizations. Aaron David Miller, a former State Department diplomat who was advised both Republican and Democratic administrations on the Middle East, called the board largely performative and expressed skepticism on how it would work in an international stage. We need on-the-ground diplomacy, not the performance creation of committees and bringing large numbers of countries and individuals into a process in which most of them have no role. You need Trump, you need Netanyahu, you need Hamas's internal and external leadership, and you need the Qataris and the Turks. The Board of Peace would convene voting meetings at least once a year, and the agenda would be subject to the chairman's approval according to the charter draft. The chairman being Trump, by the way. The Board of Peace is a concept tethered to a galaxy far, far away, not tethered to the realities back here on planet Earth, Miller said. The Board of Peace is not going to be able to solve the conflict in Sudan. It's not going to do what American mediators and Europeans couldn't do with respect to getting a ceasefire in Ukraine. According to the charter, Trump will decide on who is invited to join the board. On Friday, Trump announced 7 members on a founding executive board, including his son-in-law Jared Kushner, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff, and former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. 3 others include World Bank President Ajay Banga, Deputy National Security Advisor Robert Gabriel, and billionaire private equity chief Mark Rowan. Decisions will be made by a major vote, the draft says, with each member state receiving a single vote. But decisions can be vetoed by the chairman, who has the final authority regarding the meaning, interpretation, and application of this charter. Again, putting Trump firmly in charge. Alongside the Board of Peace, the White House said Friday that a secondary operational committee known as the Gaza Executive Board had formed. That body includes Kushner, Witkoff, Blair, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan, and Qatari diplomat Ali al-Thawadi, I guess that's how you say it. I don't know. Israel officials have already expressed their opposition to the plan. Netanyahu's office said the board's announcement was not coordinated with Israel and runs contrary to its policy, clashing over the inclusion of diplomats from Turkey and Qatar. Netanyahu will hold a cabinet meeting late Sunday regarding the Board of Peace, according to the Israel media. Khalid Al-Jindi, I'll probably F that up, a Palestinian scholar on the Center of Contemporary Arab Studies in Georgetown University, was also critical of the proposal. This is not a single reference to Palestinians, their rights, interests, or even a future Palestinian state, none of which are a priority for Blair, Trump, or the so-called Board of Peace. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said Trump was raised the concept of the Board of Peace with him several weeks ago, and he said he agreed to the idea in principle, but he said he had several questions on how it would operate. With respect to the specifics of the Board of Peace, we haven't gone through all the details of the structure, how it's going to work, what is the financing, what the financing is for, etc. We will work through those in the coming days. So you have Trump creating this board of peace, with some of his State Department minions, along with a couple of leaders and wealthy kind of tech people and stuff, inviting a bunch other leaders and stuff across the country, across the world, to create this board, this group of state leadership. Now, with him as the leader, as the chairman, as the top big dog of this board, not like the United States, but him as the leader of this board. And while it's made under this scope of trying to rebuild Gaza, the interesting part is they created a separate kind of entity that seems to be what's actually going to be focused to Gaza, and it includes some other leaders from Qatar, Turkey, and the head of that is a guy called, I think, Al Shahid or Shahith, who is a kind of a top Palestinian leader in the PA, Palestinian Authority, which is, in the West Bank, and doesn't really have good credit with the people of Gaza. As a matter of fact, they don't really have good credit for the people in the West Bank anymore, because they have been known to be just basically a just extended branch of Israel and what Israel wants. That's the reason why Israel can go rampant and do whatever it wants in the West Bank. So they don't have great support, and this guy, I'm willing to bet, also doesn't really have great support in Gaza. But that's all to help create this lasting peace or whatever in this rebuild project for Gaza, which the claim here is that everybody was on board, that Hamas is on board and approved of it. Apparently Israel, although Israel claims that they aren't. But outside of that, this board of peace, though, seems to be this bigger board that, like I said, made under the guise of rebuilding Gaza, but it seems to be that this is an extension that is being brought together as some sort of peace-making, quote-unquote, member collective, where he's trying to get all these different countries, all the big main countries, I guess you could say, on board with him again as the leader and chairman, head veto and all. He brings what's, in his, as he stated before, the only thing that he need is of concern of how, like, we implement our military forces and stuff like that is through his morality, right? That he stated that a couple of weeks ago, that the only thing that he considers is his morality. That's all that needs to be worried about. And he has the morality to designate the military how it needs to be done when it comes to actions like it did in Venezuela and actions that he might propose in other places. It's all around his morality, and that he has the premier morality to validate all actions that we may take militarily. This guy, our orange ball in chief, wants to be the head of this board, him himself, and everybody agreeing on this, by the way. with a $1 billion permanent entry fee that the claim is this money is going to go to help reconstruct Gaza. So you're basically putting, you had Israel, and with the assistance of the U.S. and a few others in Europe, handing out here and there, destroy this body of this land and this, the way of life for these people. And then you turn around and you put the foot of the expenses of rebuilding this on the rest of the world. Like everybody, and you think that all these countries are going to be willing to do that? Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's an argument to be made that maybe some of these countries who were willingly or unwillingly unwilling to actually push back and do what was needed to stop Israel from committing a genocide. And, maybe they do need to help foot the bill for rebuilding because of that. But it was mostly Israel and the United States that contributed and wholeheartedly created this genocide. But yet his attempt here is to foot the bill off on everybody. But creating this board of peace, which very much looks and sounds a little bit kind of like a United Nations, a new united leadership. We already have that. And it includes pretty much all of the nations in the world. Now, they don't all have any type of actual security power or anything like that. There's only a few that do that. But in this, Trump is basically Xing all those extras, creating a board with specific countries. It sounds like an opposition to the United Nations, which we know he has very much disdain for the United Nations because of their disdain for actions from Gaza to Venezuela and other things that we are trying to do and have done. Again, though, he wants to create this board with him as leader, okay? Not as like a representation of the country, whoever's, that leader, but like him as top. So it further mounts to me, one, that he plans and wants to stay in control. No doubt. Or at least if he somehow can't pull off staying in control of the presidency, he places himself in a position where he is the head of a committee where he has impact and direct and authoritarian influence and control over how we determine or distinguish or go about handling peaceful operation around the world. This is crazy. This is wild. Now, don't get me wrong. The committee around Gaza, while questionable with some of the membership and whether or not there will be a reconstruction around Gaza that will actually be beneficial and be representative of the people of Gaza, that's a big question. And the other big question is the fact that this new governing body for Gaza is supposed to be what's that? Technocracy. I just had a video about technocracy for the U.S. Go back and check that out. It's very interesting that when presenting this plan, they presented this plan with a governing body that was a technocratic governing body, meaning a body of people who are professionals and scientists, engineers and things like that are in control of all facets of said society. So then when I saw that, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Is this going to be the guinea pig for technocracy? To show the world, hey, you see how successful we are here? This is what we want for everyone. It's not a democracy. That's not what they're planning for Gaza. It's a technocracy. So that brings up some red flags for me. That you're going to have a bunch of wealthy elites, leaders, professionals, or those who they think are professionals anyways, scientists, engineers, or whatever, trying to control what goes on and how things are developed there. So that's going to be interesting to see. But on top of that is this board of peace with Trump as the head of the beast, and everybody, while having a vote, he ultimately has full control and power of everything that's delegated by it, proposed by it. He gets to make the decision on what matters. And ultimate veto power at that. And that is insane. If this isn't just another example of the mindset of Donald Trump, and for starters, the audacity of him, and the ego of thinking that he is the one who needs to be in control. The authority. If this doesn't show how much of an authoritarian he is, a control freak he is. He's not looking for just being a dictator, authoritarian for the U.S. He wants to be the dictator and authoritarian for the entire fucking world. The head of a UN alternative. That is mind-blowing to me. Although I don't know why I'm surprised. I shouldn't be surprised. And it's going to be interesting to see how these leaders, who accepts it, who doesn't, and getting the questions and what comes out from those questions, or the answers that come out from those questions around the nuances. Because like Carney says, he's kind of agrees in principle on something like this, but I'm sure there's some operational concerns and leadership concerns that would most certainly forego a lot of nations signing on. Especially as he just gave a speech at um in Switzerland today, basically calling out the US and America and Donald Trump on how much we are dividing the world, splintering the world order as we know, as we've known it. Basically basically calling in that yes, there is a new world order, but it may not be what Trump thinks it's going to be. So that's wild. But let me know what you think of this this board of peace with Donald Trump at the top head of it. $1 billion entry, permanent membership, should I say. I think it is very revealing. Also, let me know what you think about the technocratic governing of Gaza, and whether or not this is just a practicing ground for what's to come for the United States, or even the world if they can get it. Thank you very much for joining me. Until next time, peace. Clear Talk. I'm out.